Hi, I'm firearms attorney Gilbert Ambler, and today we get to talk about a rare piece of good news voluntarily coming from the FBI and the ATF combined. Before we dive into this subject, if you have not yet hit that subscribe button, go ahead, hit subscribe for us, like, comment with your thoughts, and share with your friends. That way you and your friends can keep getting this important Second Amendment related content. What we're talking about today specifically is NFA denials. So if you sent in and submitted a Form 4 and you wanted to transfer an NFA item to yourself, a short-barreled rifle, short-barreled shotgun, suppressor, machine gun, etc., and for whatever reason you were denied, in the past there was no effective procedure to challenge that denial. Because the process went like this. You would submit your application to the ATF. The ATF would then send off your information to the FBI for a NICS check. And if the NICS resulted in either a denial or a delay that went out past 88 days, which would then be turned into a denial because it had been left open for too long, you would be told, sorry, the ATF has declined to proceed with this transaction. And if you tried to appeal this decision to the ATF, they would say, we didn't run the background check, we don't know. And if you tried to appeal it to the FBI, you would get a response from the FBI saying, sorry, we don't process NFA denials. So you're trying to appeal an NFA denial. We don't do that here. Sorry. So effectively, if you were denied, there was no process in place to challenge it. And I know I personally spoke with people in my practice as a lawyer who had been denied typically after getting a gun. The ones that I most frequently saw would be people that had received a gun rights restoration. They were passing the background check when purchasing Title I firearms. And keep in mind, I primarily practice in point of contact states where we're not dealing directly with NICS, we're dealing with the state police. So in my opinion, it's a better system for us. The state police, from what I understand, talking with lawyers in NICS states, it's far more difficult to deal with. State police are generally pretty helpful in the states that I operate in. So slightly different procedure here. But the point being, in the past, if you got denied, and where I saw those denials was people who had gun rights restorations. So they were able to go purchase Title I firearms, rifles, pistols, shotguns, but for whatever reason, they would get jammed up when they tried to get an NFA item. FBI would deny them. ATF would say, we're not processing the appeal. Neither would the FBI. So the good news is that in early January 2024, there was a press release from the ATF and FBI combined, a joint press release saying, hey, you will now be able to use the traditional appeals method for NICS states, those states that don't run through the state police, to appeal NFA denials. So if you apply for an NFA item and you are denied, you can now use your NICS transaction number, your NTN, and go through the denial procedure, which would possibly have you doing things like submitting an additional set of fingerprints to clarify your identity and submitting any other documentation that you might have, such as proof of gun rights restoration. And this is very, very helpful because this whole no appeals procedure had been legally challenged before. There have been multiple cases involving it, including some cases brought by some friends of mine. And what was happening was every time these cases seemed like they had some footwork, meaning they had somebody who had been wrongfully denied and they had wanted to appeal it, but there was no process for them to appeal it. It seemed like the FBI and ATF were strategically mooting those cases. So what they were doing was they were killing those cases by overturning their denial as soon as they got challenged in court. And that way the court did not have to consider the entire overarching procedure. The court didn't have to say, look, this seems kind of screwed up that there's no procedure to appeal these denials. Instead, the court said, look, you got what you wanted. Go away now. We're not going to continue devoting court time and resources to it. So the short version of this is too long, didn't listen. Short version of this is, in the past, no effective way to challenge these denials unless you brought a lawsuit, in which case you might have been able to get an approval, but you weren't going to change the entire system because they would moot you. And now that system has been changed. So piece of good news, happy to see the ATF and FBI doing something correctly for once. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Until next time.